efficiency. So now what I would like you to do is pause the program and try this yourself. Combine these sentences through coordination. Then come back. Here's how I did it. Your answers may vary from mine, but go with logic and always make sure that you pick the conjunction that expresses the idea that you want. Number one, cells are made up of molecules, and molecules are made up of atoms. In this case, I used the conjunction "and" to show equal ideas on both sides. A nucleus is the cell's control center. The cell membrane is composed of a double layer of fatty materials called lipids. Here, I used a semicolon to show an even closer relationship between ideas. Number three, cells are made up of trillions of atoms, yet cells are not just tiny bricks. Here, I used "yet" to show contrast. 4. At first, scientists couldn't see much within a cell, so they thought cells were just filled with a jelly-like substance. I used the coordinating conjunction "so" to show result. Number 5. Slime molds are too small to be seen individually, but colonies of slime molds can be seen without a microscope. Here I used "but" to show result or contrast. You can also write very concise and effective sentences by using subordination. Remember, subordination makes one clause more important than the other one. You have your main clause and you have your dependent or your subordinate clause. Subordination helps you tighten your sentences, creating logic and a better style. And you're going to use one of those subordinating conjunctions such as while, after, although, as, when, where, unless, since, or because. And again, there are many of these. These are just a few. You're going to pick the one that best helps you convey your meaning. If you place the subordinate clause first, you separate it from the main clause with a comma. Here are some examples. Not subordinated. The turmoil of the French Revolution lasted 10 years, period. Napoleon Bonaparte became the dictator. I don't have any logic there. I've not related my ideas. This is much better. The turmoil of the French Revolution lasted 10 years until Napoleon Bonaparte became the dictator. Now I've put the independent clause first and the subordinate clause second, and I've linked them with the word until to create logic. Here's another example. Dogs generally have good vision. They see only various shades of gray. To subordinate, although dogs generally have good vision, they see only various shades of gray. Here I've taken the subordinate clause and I've put it first in the word although. So now what I would like you to do is to pause the program and try this yourself. Combine these sentences through subordination, then come back. Here are my answers. Compare them to yours. Because it has a brilliant crimson nose and bright blue cheeks, the mandrill is often called the most colorful mammal in the world. Number 2, when the American Revolution ended in 1783, the United States was at a crossroads. Number 1 and number 2, I put the subordinate conjunctions and the subordinate clauses first. In 3 and 4, I put them second. Coal became popular in the 1600s after England had burned up most of its wood to make products such as glass, bricks, and soap. 4. Charles Ludwig Dodson took the pen name Lewis Carroll after he wrote Alice in Wonderland. I did it this way because to me it made the most logical sense to link my ideas. One of the most effective ways to upgrade your writing is to use embedding. And when you embed, you take a part of the sentence and you put it in the main sentence. You literally place it in. That's what embed means. One of the best ways to embed is by using an appositive. An appositive is a group of words that renames the noun. Here's an example. Eudora Welty is a major Southern writer. She was born in Mississippi in 1909. Eudora Welty is the noun. Eudora Welty, comma, a major Southern writer, comma, was born in Mississippi in 1909. My appositive there is a major Southern writer. It renames Eudora Welty. I've set that off with commas to show that I can take it out of the sentence and it will still make grammatical sense. I can also embed by using who, whose, or which. Eudora Welty is a major Southern writer. She was born in Mississippi in 1909. My same example. Now I'm going to embed by using who. Eudora Welty is a major Southern writer who was born in Mississippi in 1909. Which one do you use? You pick the version that best suits your style, your purpose, and your audience. Try to get a variety, though, because it makes your writing more interesting. So now what I would like you to do is to try this yourself. Pause the program and rewrite each sentence by embedding phrases and clauses. Then come back. Here's how I did it. Compare my answers to yours. William Taft, comma, the first president to open a baseball season, comma, threw out the first ball in a 1910 game between Washington and Philadelphia. I used an appositive to rename Taft. Number 2, the U.S. Senate, which conducted an investigation that cost $2,000, was infuriated with Dolly Madison's purchase of a $40 mirror for the White House. There I've used which, also with an appositive. In 3, Abigail Fillmore, born in 1798, refused to move into the White House until it had indoor plumbing. All of those are much better sentences because I've created logic by combining sentence parts. You can also write concise sentences by using the active voice. The active voice is much less wordy than the passive voice. The passive voice is a construction whereby the subject receives the action. Our knowledge about the geometry of triangles was enriched by Pythagoras. In the active voice, I take my subject, Pythagoras, and I place it first. Pythagoras enriched our knowledge about the geometry of triangles. It's a much better sentence because it's more direct and to the point. You're going to want to use active voice as often as you can because it makes your writing powerful, vigorous, and clear. There's only one instance when you're going to want to use the passive voice, and that's when you want to avoid assigning blame in writing. So rather than using the active voice and saying, you made a mistake, you would say, a mistake was made by you. But to make that even nicer, you would take off the by you, and you would just say, a mistake was made. And then what you've done is you've spared somebody's feelings, but you've still conveyed your point. So now what I would like you to do is pause the program and try this yourself. Rewrite these sentences into the active voice. Then come back. Here's how I did it. The calf of a blue whale gains approximately 200 pounds each day. My subject, the calf of a blue whale, is first. Number 2, a goldfish in captivity has reached the age of 80 years. My subject, a goldfish, is first. And number 3, cats eat 1/3 of the total amount of canned fish in the U.S. My subject, cats, is first. An extremely effective way of writing concise sentences is by using parallel structure. Parallel structure means that every part of your sentence is in a matching grammatical form. For example, the nouns, the verbs, the adjectives, the adverbs, the prepositional phrases, and the clauses all match. Parallel structure is very effective because it creates rhythm in your prose. All prose, as well as all poetry, has to have rhythm. It makes your writing sound smooth For example, I came, I saw, I conquered. It's parallel. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. That's parallel. Parallelism is used a great deal in speeches to make the writing memorable and smooth. Here's some faulty parallelism. To avoid getting hit by lightning, do not seek protection under a tree. To try to avoid lying down on wet ground and staying on a bike. Here's parallel. To avoid getting hit by lightning, do not seek protection under a tree, avoid lying down on wet ground, and get off a bike. Here's another version. To avoid getting hit by lightning, do not seek protection under a tree, lie down on wet ground, or stay on a bike. As you can see, there are many different ways to create parallelism because you're going to pick one grammatical form or structure and match everything else to it. It might be single words. I went swimming, picnicking, and boating. You're matching all the single words. It might be phrases. It might be clauses. However you do it, though, they're all going to match to be parallel. So now what I would like you to do is pause the program and try this yourself. Rewrite these sentences by correcting the errors in parallelism. Then come back. The Industrial Revolution created the need for mill supervisors, lawyers, teachers, and people who operated telegraphs. Well, that's not parallel because the last part is not parallel. So you'll change that. The Industrial Revolution created the need for mill supervisors, lawyers, teachers, and telegraph operators. The second one is in parallel. During the Crimean War, Florence Nightingale cleaned up the hospitals, improved care, and was reducing the death rate to 2%. I'm okay on the first two parts, cleaned up the hospitals and improved care. My problem is with the third and last part, and here's how I'd fix it to make it parallel. During the Crimean War, Florence Nightingale cleaned up the hospitals, improved care, and reduced the death rate to 2%. So now, cleaned, improved, and reduced, all parallel. Going to my third example, can smarter machines and machines that are faster help us live long, more pleasant lives? And here's how I'd fix it to make it parallel. Can smarter, faster machines help us live longer, more pleasant lives? So now, smarter, faster, longer, more pleasant, all parallel. As I said earlier in this program, you want to suit your sentence style and length to your audience. You're going to try to use a combination of simple, compound, complex, and compound complex sentences because that creates a very interesting and varied style. However, you're always going to write simply and directly to make sure that you communicate. Remember, your purpose is always to communicate, whether you're entertaining, whether you're informing, or whether you are persuading. To sum up, a sentence is a group of words that has a subject, a predicate, and expresses a complete thought. Remember that your subject is your noun or your pronoun. Your predicate is your verb or your verb phrase. And to express a complete thought means you're making sense. Sentences come in 4 forms: declarative, interrogative, imperative, and exclamatory. Remember that declarative sentences declare or state an idea. They end with a period. Interrogative sentences ask a question. They end with a question mark. Imperative sentences give an order or a direction and end with a period or an exclamation mark. And exclamatory sentences exclaim. They convey strong emotion and they end with an exclamation mark. Sentences can be classified according to the clauses they have, as we discussed. Simple sentences, compound sentences, complex sentences, compound complex. We classify them by the number and the type of clauses. Effective sentences are correct, clear, concise, and varied. Well, we've come to the end of the program. I hope that you're have found this instruction helpful and that you've learned some things that you can use to take your written communication to the next level. Be sure to join us in the next program in Video-Aided Instruction's Upgrade Your Writing series, Building Paragraphs, where you'll learn important strategies for improving your paragraphs. Thank you for watching.
If math problems leave you scratching your head, unsure of where to start and where to go, don't worry. Video-aided instruction can help even the most math-challenged students excel. Whether you're taking math in middle school, high school, or college, or simply brushing up on those forgotten skills, our comprehensive DVD review sets are the ultimate supplements to your textbook and classwork. We have programs for a whole range of skill levels, from basic math to algebra and trigonometry, from statistics to college-level calculus. Our intensive programs feature real teaching by real teachers. They're jam-packed